सम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
धन्यवाद सर, धन्यवाद मॅम. यानंतरचा जो महत्त्वाचा कार्यक्रम असतो तो स्वागताच्या कार्यक्रमाकडे आपण जाऊयात. आता तिमिरातून तेजाकडे आपला प्रवास सुरू झालेला आहे. या कार्यक्रमासाठी आज आपले वनबल प्रमुख श्री YLP राव सर आणि आपले प्रधान सचिव श्री वेणुगोपाल रेड्डी सर मुंबई येथे एक आवश्यक सभा असल्यामुळे उपस्थित राहू शकलेले नाही आहेत, परंतु त्यांच्या प्रेरणेतून आणि मार्गदर्शनातून हा कार्यक्रम साकारत आहे. शिवाय दुपारी काही काळ आपले प्रधान सचिव श्री वेणुगोपाल रेड्डी सर आपल्याशी VC द्वारे देखील संवाद साधणार आहेत. या कार्यक्रमामध्ये त्यांचं मी व्हर्च्युअली स्वागत करते आणि त्यांचे आभार मानते. यानंतर स्वागताच्या कार्यक्रमाकडे जाऊयात. श्री शैलेश टेंभुर्णीकर सर यांचे स्वागत श्री महिब गुप्ता सर डायरेक्टर अकॅडमी करतील अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करते. यानंतर डॉक्टर JV शर्मा सर यांचं स्वागत श्री लोणकर सर करतील अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करते. वेलकम टू चंद्रपूर सर. यानंतर श्री महिब गुप्ता सर डायरेक्टर चंद्रमा यांचं स्वागत श्री अविनाश कुमार ॲडिशनल डायरेक्टर प्रशासन करतील अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करते. यानंतर श्रीमती जयोती बॅनर्जी मॅडम CCF आणि FD मेलघाट यांचं स्वागत श्रीमती श्वेता बोद्धू मॅडम DCF सेंट्रल चांदा करतील अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करते. यानंतर श्रीयुत नायकडे सर CCF नागपूर यांचं स्वागत श्री नंदकिशोर काळेसाहेब DD कोर करतील अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करते. आमचे CCF सर श्री प्रकाश लोणकर सर यांचं स्वागत श्रीयुत प्रशांत खाडेसाहेब करतील अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करते. Climate change phenomena affects all of us. today, since we are here in the hottest place of Maharashtra, a peak outside, and you all will realize how climate has changed, temperatures have soared, and rainfall patterns have changed. Today we have gathered here to know our forests better, to realize them as carbon sinks, measure how much carbon they store, and explore carbon-based forest financing systems. आपण सगळे जंगलात किंवा जंगलाविषयी कामं करत असतो. या वनामधून आपल्याला माहिती आहे की मोठ्या प्रमाणावर कार्बन स्टोअर केला जातो किंवा साठवला जातो. जी वाढणारी झाडं असतात ती वेगवेगळ्या फॉर्मॅटमध्ये वेगवेगळ्या प्रकाराने कार्बन स्टोअर करत असतात. पण हा किती कार्बन आपल्या जंगलातून स्टोअर केलेला आहे, तो कसा केला जातो आणि तो कसा मोजायचा आणि मोजल्यानंतर तो अर्थव्यवस्थेशी कसा जोडायचा, हे आपल्या या 3 दिवसांच्या वर्कशॉपमध्ये आपण सगळेजण शिकणार आहोत. कार्यक्रमाची सुरुवात आपण प्रस्तावनेने करूयात. प्रस्तावनेसाठी मी श्री जे शर्मा सर यांना आमंत्रित करणार आहे. तत्पूर्वी सरांचा थोडक्यात मी परिचय देते. Sir is 1983 batch IFS officer born on UP Kedar. He has 34 years of experience of overall coordination and management of projects in forestry sector. Earlier he worked as DIG, Forest Policy and Forest International Cooperation in MOEFCC. He is an expert in subjects of economic valuation of forest resources, change in forest governance, carbon financing and enhancing livelihood of forest communities. Presently, Sir is working as Senior Director, Land Resources Division in TERI and using his expertise to guide other people and for the betterment of this nation. I invite Sir for the introductory address. Thank you.
Thank you very much for providing us an opportunity to build the capacity of the Maharashtra Forest Department. And I start with to greet Shri Shailesh Tamunkar, PCCF Campa, Additional Directors of Academy, CCS present on the dais, dear participants, and my colleagues from TERI and Professor Joshi from JNU University. On our request, he has come very long way to apprise you regarding the GIS application and the assessment of the carbon stock. So, why we are here? As per the 6th assessment report, 1.1 degrees Celsius from the Industrial Revolution has already been risen, and we are expecting that rise of temperature by 2 degrees by 2100 is inevitable, and whole globe is trying very hard to limit the rise of temperature within 2 degrees. So we cannot forget in 2015 the Paris Agreement, where the decision was taken to limit the rise of temperature 2 degrees and aspire to limit under 1.5 degrees. All nations, most of the nations, they have taken the voluntary targets called earlier called as a INDCs, intended nationally determined contributions towards limiting the rise of temperature within 2 degrees. But after ratification, most of the countries, they have communicated their nationally determined contributions, and India is no exceptions, also accepted the voluntary targets and communicated to the UNFCCC. Largely the 3 important NDCs: reduction of the emission intensity 33 to 35% per GDP, 40% use of non-fossil fuel energy, and which is very important for us as forester, the additional sequestration of the 2.5 to 3 billion tons of the equivalent carbon dioxide from additional forest and tree cover by 2030. Again, COP26 was held in 21, and Government of India, Honorable Prime Minister has announced that our emission reduction intensity will be 45% instead of 33 to 35%. And 500 gigawatt energy from the non-fossil fuel means around 50% from energy from the renewables, and 1 billion ton reduction in the emissions by 2030. And in the last, that we have to achieve net zero target by 2070. So these targets have been taken by the Government of India, and how to achieve it. As far as forestry sector is concerned, forestry is in a concurrent subject of the Indian Constitution, and policy and planning is the responsibility of the central government, and implementation is 100% with the state government. And until unless the state governments are involved at every level, in the decision-making level as well as implementation level, preparation of the policies and strategy level, this target is very difficult to be achieved. And for 1 and 2 NDCs, the baseline is 2005, but there was no baseline communicated for 2.5 to 3 billion tons. So and very recently, Government of India has a very sketchy form decided that the baseline could be 2005, and I have shared that order of the Ministry of Environment Forest with Shailesh ji. And we can aspire for the 2015 as a target for overachieving the target. So like a technical series has been issued by the Forest Survey of India, in which they have analyzed it. If 2005 is a baseline, then we are overachieving the target. If 2015 is a baseline, then we will be shortfall of the target by around 0.75 to 1.25 billion tons. And in the target communicated by India as far as 2.5 to 3 billion ton is concerned, the additional word has been used 2 times. It means it is over and above the business as usual. If we think that it is over and above the business as usual, BAU, then we will be shortfall of the very more than 2 billion tons to 2.5 billion tons shortage. So like this is an analysis of the Forest Survey of India provided to the Government of India. So I am giving you these figures that how difficult it is to achieve this target, and we have taken this target without any scientific analysis. We could have done scientific analysis. So whatever the target has been taken, so all states have to contribute, and this is at the earliest, Government of India has to distribute targets to the state government to achieve it. And why is the Government of India is not distributing the target so that the PCCFs of the all states can ask Director General Forest and the Secretary Environment and Forest, so kindly let us know that how much targets has to be achieved by the respective states, so that we can plan it, we can prepare the strategy and plans how to achieve it. So there are 3 aspects to achieve these targets. Number 1, the capacity building of the human resource. So financial resources, and I have written a research paper that I have also analyzed and estimated that around 60,000 crore rupees needed for achieving this target by 2030, and from the baseline of 2015. So now we are 7 years have been passed, nothing has been done, and how we are going to achieve. So this is a seriousness about the making effort to limit the rise of temperature. This is not only from India. So India is not making concrete effort as far as forestry sector is concerned. Many more countries are also doing the same. So that we have to rethink that how we are going to limit the rise of temperature within 2 degrees. And as far as the financial aspect is concerned, so that during the Glasgow meeting, there was a very important decision being taken, and that is effective now. So that it has been decided that only national government cannot make the effort to limit the rise of temperature within 2 degrees. But the private entrepreneur, they also must come forward and to contribute towards this cause. So since then most of the private companies, big companies, not only globally, but in India also more than 100 companies, they have taken policy decision voluntarily. So they have to be net carbon zero by some by 2030, some by 2040, some by 2050. So now they are looking for the everybody cannot do the plantation, everybody cannot have the land to do the plantations, etc. So that now they are looking for offsetting their emissions by purchasing. So that voluntary, since compliance market is under suspension right now, maybe it will be in place maybe after 6 months or so. But at present it is under suspension. So voluntary markets have come up like anything, and we are also involved ourselves in the carbon finance project, and it is a very good amount, very good financial resources coming to mitigate the climate change and also to adapt the climate change. As far as carbon finance project is concerned, and the major component and key component is the carbon stock assessment, assessment of the 5 pool of the carbon stock. And unless we know what are the 5 carbon pools and how to assess and how to measure it, so that in the same line we are organizing this capacity building program, and we have divided this program into 3 days. And day 1 we are apprising you regarding what is the concept of the climate change and what are the major decisions has been taken, and how it is linked with sustainable development goal and have connectivity with the carbon finance also. So there are another mechanism of the carbon finance instead of the that is called REDD. You might have heard that reducing emissions from deforestation, forest degradation, plus means enhancing carbon without sacrificing biodiversity conservation, without sacrificing rights of the people who are depending on the forest, and also without sacrificing the ecosystem services of the area and their livelihood also. So like it is nothing but in other forms it is a sustainable forest management, and then sustainable forest management is linked, and how it is linked with the sustainable development goals, so that we are also apprising you, and we are starting the session with this topic. Then GIS remote sensing is very key and important. And if I come to you and I say that first cycle payment of the carbon finance you will get after 5 years, so you will also not listen to us and say that in 5 years many things are changed and projects will fizzle out, so that we are keeping 24 months. And in 24 months, then we have to keep baseline at least 3 years or 4 years back. Then how to take the baseline? And to take that baseline, the GIS remote sensing technology is very important. And we have requested Professor Joshi to apprise you how GIS remote sensing can be used in the carbon stock assessment. And in natural forest, RAD mechanism is important. So the third session we are having on the how to prepare project design document, how to prepare the monitoring report, and this has to be, we have from Terry hands-on experience for the preparing the RAD projects and afforestation and reforestation projects both, so that Dr. Yogesh Gokhale will be apprising you on the second day, very first, that how to prepare the RAD projects. And then in the last, we have last 1.5 day for the carbon stock assessment. Carbon stock assessment is a key and major part of the project preparation. And Aniket will be providing you the theoretical details, and combinedly my 3 colleagues will be providing you the hands-on experience in the field. So in nutshell, we have kept the capsule in discussion with the PCCF Campa that so that after 3 days, not exactly the 100%, but at least 70 to 80% knowledge you will be gaining of the carbon stock assessment. And in addition, we are providing a reading material in which we have given the detailed methodology, even volume equations of the species relevant to the Maharashtra. For example, we are giving a copy of the project design document of I think Punjab, Yogesh, we are giving for Punjab. And the document has been prepared that if you feel some gap after the 3 days training, if you like to do and like to implement in the field, then with the help of the training material, you can do the justice with the carbon stock assessment. So this is in nutshell the introduction about the 3 days program, as well as a little introduction towards the carbon stock assessment training capacity building program. And details will be provided when the technical sessions will be on. So with these words, I stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir has crisply explained the targets we have set to limit our emissions, our plans to achieve them, and then sir has also given entire outline of the course we are going to have in next 3 days. Thank you so much, sir, for the introductory remarks. Now I would like to invite Shri Mahib Gupta, sir, for his address.
Honorable Sharma Sahab, other officers who have come from Delhi, Honorable Chief Tembunikar sir, other dignitaries sitting on the dais, Jyoti Banerjee, my colleague Naikade Sahib, Lonkar Sahib, all senior officers present here, colleagues and friends. First of all, as Director of Academy, I welcome you all to this beautiful campus. Some of you might have visited this campus for the first time. It is a beautiful campus, as you must have already seen. And once you walk inside the campus, you feel you are walking inside some University of United States. We have good facilities here. We can house about 300 trainees here. We have housing capacity of those many trainees. We have a beautiful gymnasium. We have a swimming pool. Sports facilities are also available, which you can avail. You are here for 3 days. In case of any difficulty, any problem about the staying, boarding, and lodging facilities, you can contact me directly, or you can contact Piyusha or Avinash or Mr. Khade. This institute started in 60s as Ranger College for the state government of Maharashtra. Then for some time it was taken over by central government as CFRC, that is Central Forest Rangers College. Then again it came back to the state government, but because the recruitment was very low, so this campus was utilized for training of foresters and guards and other forest department people also. In 2013, government decided to upgrade the facility, and the construction work started in around about 2015. Unfortunately, when the construction was just nearing completion, the corona started. So the 2 years, nothing happened, everything was standstill. The campus was taken over by the district administration for as a corona center. They even built a oxygen supply plant here, and that part of the academies is still with the district administration, which they have not handed over back to us. In last March only, this academy was taken over back by the forest department, and then we started to rejuvenate it. Now we are doing many things. We have asked Director Forestry Education to give us a batch for our batch of RFOs for training, which Kundal is already doing. We have done MOU with VNIT Nagpur, which will be conducting certificate courses for environmental engineering in our campus. We have a meeting with KVIC also. Actually, Honorable Mungantiwar Sahab had a meeting with the Honorable Minister of MSME in Delhi last week only, and they have actually promised us that they will be starting a KVIC center also, training center also here in this academy. We have MOU done with the local university. We have done MOU with the Nagpur University also, and we will be running different courses for universities, as well as we are actually working as a center of Yeshda also. We have applied for the status of regional center of Yeshda. So we will be having STPA trainings also. From our own departmental funds, we are running courses for foresters right now. And hopefully in a few months from now, this academy will be up and running and it will become a good center. Apart from that, we are also trying to make it a center of excellence on two subjects, that is wildlife mitigation measures and man-animal conflict, plus another subject is about climate change. These two subjects we are also taking up. We have already opened schools for these two subjects in our academy, and we will be having a MOU with TERI also for about exchanging information about the climate change. So hopefully in few months from now, this academy will be functioning vigorously. About this training, I am holding charge of APCCF RET also. In Pune, some fellows, some private individuals and an NGO met me a few days back, and they said that this carbon credit or the unit for carbon sequestered is being traded at $6 to $7 a unit. And many private companies and private individuals have come up which are actually approaching farmers and growers, and then they are telling them that they will be making a proposal. Actually, only an online proposal is to be submitted. They will be submitting that proposal to the concerned agency, and those, on one hand, they are earning $6 to $7 from those agencies, but the actual grower or the farmer is getting only $1 to $2. So this kind of thing is growing up, and many companies have come up in, at least in Pune and areas around that. So actually, they asked me to do something about it. They said that some kind of regulatory mechanism should be put in place. Then I said I'll inquire about it. I talked to my people. Not many people are aware of anything, this sort of things going on. So this training will be an actually eye-opener for us, all of us, and perhaps we'll know what is going on in this field, and perhaps will be in a better situation to deal with this kind of situation in future. So this is going to be a very important training. All those who have come here, please listen to them attentively and gather some information from this training. That's all I want to say. Once again, I welcome you all, and I hope you have a 3-day period, good period here. You will enjoy your stay here. Once again, welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. As a training academy, we would be more than delighted to play our part as some institution for capacity building, knowledge creation, dissemination, and in the sector of the climate change. So I thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Shri Naikade sir to present his address.
नमस्कार. प्रथमतः मी टेंभुर्णीकर सरांना धन्यवाद देतो. सर थोडा उशीर झाला, परंतु लेट बेरिंग फ्रूट्स आर मोस्ट व्हायबल याप्रमाणे खरोखर हे जे काही प्रशिक्षण आहे 3 दिवसाचं त्या प्रशिक्षणानिमित्ताने डॉक्टर शर्मा सर, टेंभुर्णीकर सर, महबूब गुप्ता सर, जयती मॅम, लोणकर साहेब, पियुषा आणि मित्रांनो, ॲज अ JD when I was in Pune, just Mahbub Gupta sir rightly pointed out, minimum 14 applications they are lying on the JD table. Sir, we are doing tripartite agreement. We are doing lot of plantations. Dzire Gowda, he might be knowing that 14 Tree Foundation is there, one of the NGO. He is doing lot of plantations. He has also applied to JD. So we are doing plantations, but you are not speaking on the part of this carbon credit. Whether the government is giving right to us, harvest this benefit from the carbon credit. The 14 applications, just I have referred to government, but nobody is opening that floodgate. What I am saying, that this is very important topic. Many private individuals, they are earning in lakhs, not in lakhs, but they are earning in crores. You might be knowing that Talegaon, Chakan, Ranjangaon, then your Kagal MIDC in Kolhapur. All these are the 5-star MIDCs area developed by the government or MIDC. There the companies, they have to spend their CSR funds through plantations. SPCL also, HPCL, that company, they have also applied with JD. What to do for this plantation and carbon credit in future after 10 years or 5 years. Whether the government is giving right to this. Rightly this time, because you see, not verge of retirement like fag end of the service like people like Lonkar Sahib, myself, but young people, especially young people, if you want to choose your special branch or any special branch, choose as a carbon credit or whatever that you follow the path of Temburnikar sir path. Because you see, this is the upcoming subject. The future is very bright. Not only today, tomorrow, but after 20 years, 25 years, this will be the regular word and regular consultancy services. You will be chosen as an engine in your future career. Because you see, rightly the Terry, they are the really good engine in this subject. Generally it is said that young leading to young is like a blind leading to blind. Ultimately both will fall into ditch. The only sure guide who has gone on the path which you have to go. ह्या कार्बन क्रेडिट किंवा या कार्बन सिक्वेस्ट्रेशन क्षेत्रामध्ये ज्यांनी खूप काम केलेलं आहे. आय हॅव डिस्कस दिस सब्जेक्ट विथ मेनी पुणे पीपल. दे हॅव अटेस्टेड द सब्जेक्ट दॅट टेरी इज द गुड इंजिन टू टेक दिस सब्जेक्ट और टू गाईड यू पीपल. दे आर एक्सपर्ट, दे आर हॅव्हिंग रिच एक्सपिरियन्स. त्यामुळे सर फार सुंदर केलं तुम्ही. चांगली एजन्सी किंवा चांगले मार्गदर्शक तुम्ही ह्या चर्चासत्राकरता निवडलेले आहेत. फक्त इट शुड बी द not only for 3 days, but it should be the regular phenomena of forestry career. How to take this subject forward. आपण सर टेंभुर्णीकर सरांना माहिती असेल, त्यांनी फक्त हा सब्जेक्ट धरला. ही वेंट टू अब्रॉड, देन ते शिकून आले. नाउ द डे, एव्हरी मिनिट ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट कार्बन क्रेडिट. बिकॉज in our forestry sector, nobody is expert that surely we are just traveling in our dark. Therefore, somebody should be there, act as an engineer or forest department. Temburnikar sir is the right person to lead us in this sector. विशेषतः पियुषा, गुप्ता सर, काळे सर, और खाडे सर. स्पेशल थँक्स. मला बोलवलं, तुम्ही सत्कार केला. त्याचबरोबर पहिला मेसेज मी टेंभुर्णीकर सरांनी टाकला होता का दिस इज व्हेरी टाइमली ट्रेनिंग अँड व्हेरी युजफुल ट्रेनिंग फॉर आवर फ्युचर रोडमॅप. पुन्हा एकदा आपले सर्वांचे आभार मानतो. तुम्ही सर्वजण भाग्यवान आहात का एवढ्या हेक्टिक शेड्यूलमधून इतरांना त्याचा काय बेनिफिट होईल. कामाचे दिवस आहेत, 3 दिवस वाया जातील. नथिंग लाईक दिस. सिरियसली प्रत्येक मिनिट जो 3 दिवसाचा असेल यू युटिलाइज. वेन यू कम आउट आफ्टर दिस ट्रेनिंग यू विल थिंक दॅट समथिंग वी आर डिफरंट फ्रॉम द अदर्स. अशा प्रकारचं परिवर्तन आपल्यामध्ये व्हावं अशा प्रकारची इच्छा व्यक्त करतो. पुन्हा एकदा गुप्ता सर, त्यांच्या सर्व सहकाऱ्यांचे मी आभार मानतो. इथेच थांबतो. जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र.
धन्यवाद सर. सरांनी जसं राईटली सांगितलेलं आहे की विषय किंवा कॉन्फरन्सचं किंवा वर्कशॉपचं टायटल बघूनच असं वाटतं की अरे काय टेक्निकल विषय आहे, काय कंटाळवाणे सेशन्स असतील किंवा मला यात काही इंटरेस्ट नाही, मला थोडं वेगळं काहीतरी आवडतं. पण हा जो विषय आहे याचं जे महत्त्व आहे ते येणाऱ्या अनेक वर्षांमध्ये खूप महत्त्वाचं असणार आहे. आणि this is the right forum, this is the right time that we all learn about it. We understand the basic concepts and we take it further. यानंतर अध्यक्षीय भाषण करण्यासाठी मी माननीय शैलेश टेंभुर्णीकर सर PCCF CEO कॅम्पा यांना बोलवणार आहे. तत्पूर्वी सरांची थोडक्यात ओळख करून देते. श्री शैलेश टेंभुर्णीकर PCCF and CEO Campa belongs to 1987 batch of Indian Forest Service. He is interested in watershed development and SMC works. His works in Akot Division in 1993-96 and Ashti IWMP are testimony to these. He got Government of Maharashtra Gold Medal for protection in Buldana Division in 2004-05. He worked exemplary in land records as APCCF conservation. He has also published a compendium which will be soon making available for all of you. Compendium of Private Forest Act 1975 and land reforms, and he also designed new boundary pillars presently which we are using in the field. He is pursuing carbon assessment in the state besides Campa activities. He attended trainings and trainers program in University of UK and also facilitated training in Fiji Islands, Maxwell Institute of Central Excellence in Syracuse University of USA. I invite sir for his presidential address, and also after his address we'll be making these compendiums available for all the offices of DFOs and DCFs throughout Maharashtra. Please sir. Thank you.
Good morning and season's greetings to all and everyone present in this 3-day workshop of carbon assessment in forest in the Maharashtra state. Honorable PCCF Hof, Dr. YLP Rao, though he is not here, Honorable Principal Secretary Venugopal Reddy sir, Director Land Resources Division Sri Sharma sir, Terry, then Director Chandrapur Academy, Sri Mahib Gupta sir, dignitaries on the dais, Jayati madam, Naikadi sahab, Lonkar sahab, and all the Conservator of Forest, Deputy Conservator of Forest, Assistant Conservator of Forest, delegates, forest guards, foresters, and all the stakeholders of this workshop. I welcome you for this workshop. It is a great pleasure to host this carbon assessment workshop in the state of Maharashtra. This is the third in this series. First workshop was held in the October 2019 at Nagpur in Chitnis Center. That was the first workshop. Then I think second was held in December 21 in Pench Tiger Project, and this is the third in this series. Actually, I would acquaint you as to why this workshop is being held, what is the purpose behind hosting this workshop. But before that, you would appreciate that in the last monsoon there were floods in the Konkan area. You have read it in the newspapers and through news that there were floods in China, there were floods in Germany. Then there was heat stroke in Canada. There were forest fires in Turkey, in California. So all these are footprints of climate change. Climate change is right at our doorstep. You can experience the vagaries of nature and uncertainty of nature, unseasonal rains, so on and so forth. So you have to address this issue, and forestry has got a very important role to mitigate these adverse impacts of climate change. You know that forest, through its inherent capabilities of carbon sequestration, can do wonders through adaptation and mitigation measures. So everybody knows that carbon dioxide is being absorbed by the trees and they emit oxygen. This function was studied in our high school also. But everybody speaks. We host many programs. Vriksha Dindi and then Vana Mahotsav. Through all these programs, throughout these years, we tell the society, we tell all the people that carbon dioxide is being absorbed by the trees and oxygen is emitted by these trees. And through these functions, the air pollution is also reduced and the overall climate and the environment and the local ecology improves. But nobody says how much carbon dioxide is being absorbed by these trees and how much oxygen is being emitted by the trees. Now, we are in the 21st century, so we should be in a position to quantify the benefits that accrue of afforestation and plantations. So, this workshop will make you capable for this quantification, because in this modern age of science, you should be in a position to speak in quantitative terms. How much carbon dioxide is being absorbed and how much oxygen is being emitted by the trees. Now you can extend this concept to 1 hectare of forest, 1 hectare of trees, 1 hectare of plantations, so on and so forth. So there are technologies and there are guidelines issued by IPCC, Good Management Practices, wherein these assessment techniques have been written. So some of these techniques you will be learning in coming 3 days. And TERI is the only well-known institute in the country which is internationally well-known as well as nationally well-known, who are expert in these subjects. They are dealing with this subject for last 10 years and they are well connected with UNFCCC and all the international forums like IPCC, and they will transfer this knowledge to the officers in the Maharashtra state. Now, what is the purpose and objective of hosting this workshop? As already Sharma sir has already told you, to achieve the targets of Paris Agreement. Honorable Prime Minister, he himself attended this Paris conference, COP, and he has signed the agreement that 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent shall be absorbed by creating forest to that extent by 2030. That is the mandate for the Ministry of Environment and Forests also, and they have given directives in writing to all the state governments that we should be in a position to achieve this target. In order to achieve this target, you should have the capacity to understand what is carbon dioxide equivalent, what is 2.5 to 3 billion tons, how these are computed, and in local parlance, how to translate it for these carbon assessment techniques. So, in order to develop your capacity to understand this international agreement and assess the carbon sequestration capabilities of our state forest, this workshop is being held to develop your capacities. That is number one. Number two, forests are both source and sinks of greenhouse gases. Hence, for devising strategy for mitigation as well as for adaptation for tackling climate change. So you should be in a position to understand the difference between what is adaptation and what is mitigation and how to devise these strategies. The third thing is that you are well aware that the National Working Plan Code provides that the carbon stocks in that particular division or in the forest should be computed, and a separate chapter needs to be incorporated in the working plan. So, in order to include that chapter, the working plan officer should know how to quantify the carbon stocks in the area. So, in coming 3 days, you will learn how the quantification is being done so far as the carbon stocks are concerned. Then the fourth thing is that you might be aware that silvicultural conference was held at Dehradun some couple of years back, and they have decided that the old silvicultural systems which were started in the British times needs to be revised. Now the modern concept of equi-productive coops based on the carbon stocks is being worked out. Based on that, the new silvicultural system shall be devised and that shall be implemented. So for doing so, again, the knowledge for computation of carbon stocks is a must. Then most of the young officers are from the engineering background, IITs, even agricultural engineering, PhDs. So they are expert in knowledge gaining. So that knowledge should be applied. You might be aware about the climate change modeling. Various mathematical models are being evolved and developed. So you can understand this climate change modeling process also when you attend this workshop. Then couple of years back, one of the senior leader in the mega program which we used to host, he appealed us that the carbon calculators should be evolved and they should be on the mobile phone so that the carbon absorbing capacity of the individual trees can be computed, as well as the carbon which is being sequestered in that particular area can be computed. So carbon calculators should be made available to the public on mobile app. So that can also be done. Then what exactly is the carbon trade? We have heard a lot about this carbon trade, but we haven't got any testimony as to whether a particular village has earned some amount out of this carbon trade. So there is lot of hearsay, but we don't have any practical examples. TERI, through its wide experience, they have already succeeded in getting VERs, Verified Emission Reductions certificates from voluntary carbon market, and they are in the process of getting VERs in the state of Punjab, Gujarat, so on and so forth. They are consultant for many organizations. So that is the ground reality. You will be exposed to how the carbon trade works in the international forum. Then the various international companies like say Amazon and Google, in order to improve their green rating, they purchase these CERs and VERs from the concerned vendors and improve their green rating. So you will understand what exactly, how these CERs are being purchased. Then lastly, in all sanctuaries and national park, they are well known for the wildlife management, but at the same time, they also function in carbon sequestration. So how much carbon is being sequestered in sanctuaries and national park, that is also very important. And one such project in as directed by NTCA is already underway in Pench National Park. This year, in the annual plan of operations of Campa, I have included SGNP as well as Sahyadri Tiger Reserve also for these computational purposes, and our technical partner would be TERI again. So these are the purpose for which this workshop is being held. Then how I would like to go through little bit about the historical evolution of the concept. We all are aware about the first industrial revolution, wherein all industries and the vehicles were running on steam power, steam engines. It was the age of mass production and it was the age of science. Then during the second industrial revolution, electricity was being used for powering machines and there was less environmental pollution. In the third industrial revolution, that is known as IT revolution, computerization, software, digital world automation, robotics and networking. And the fourth industrial revolution is Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, machine learning, advanced robotics, and neural networks. All these technologies are blurring the boundaries between physical, digital, and biological worlds in the world. That is why this carbon trade is also a part of it. It is blurring the boundaries between polluting and non-polluting, developing and non-developing world. So it is very important that we remain interconnected with the global developments. So in sync with that, this carbon assessment is the need of hour. Then you all are aware, I will not apprise you regarding the ill effects of climate change. Those are floods, cyclones, droughts, diseases, cyclones, erratic snowfall, so on and so forth. I would like to apprise you regarding the forestry development in our country. From the scientific forestry started in the year 1864 with the Dietrich Brandis, who was appointed as the first Inspector General of Forest. So most of the probationers, they have heard my lectures. I will not repeat it, but I just wanted to highlight these three distinct phases of forestry development in India. First is 1864 to 1947, where the forests were being managed and maintained for production purposes. Lot of timber was cut for railway development from 1853 onwards. Then during First World War, Second World War, for shipbuilding and for other industrial purposes, lot of trees like say Devdar, teak and sal were cut and they were being used. So the first phase of forestry from 1864 up to 1947 was predominantly of production forestry. Then the second phase started from 1947 onwards up to 1990, wherein lot of environmental laws, checks and balances were promulgated by Government of India. Forest was placed in concurrent list, and then Government of India legislated, various state governments also legislated on various matters. So it was an age of livelihood forestry. We tried to address the livelihood issues of the local people, that is number one, and we tried to seek the participation of the local people in forest management. So it was an age of participatory mode of forest management through FDA, Joint Forest Management, and now CFRMCs and Eco Development Committees, so on and so forth. And the third phase started from 1992, when the Earth Summit was held in Brazil at Rio de Janeiro, wherein three different conventions were established. The first one was UNFCCC, second one was UNCCD, and third one was United Nations Convention on Biodiversity Conservation. Various COPs are being held. There are some 197 member countries, and periodically the COPs are held, various decisions are being taken, and carbon assessment, carbon trade is followed of one of these COP decisions. So from 1992 onwards to present date, the forests are being conserved for carbon sequestration. This I just wanted to impress upon you, that whoever is working in forestry sector from 1992 onwards, they are conserving forests predominantly and primarily for carbon sequestration. So it is an age of carbon forestry. So since if you see the FAO sites as well as United Nations Environment Program and then so on and so forth, you will find that one way or the other, the carbon assessment or the carbon sequestration issue is at the center now. So in order to impress upon you that we have already passed the two different phases of forestry. Now this is the third phase is of carbon forestry. So in order to acclimatize you, develop your capacities, this workshop is being held. Then Sharma sir has already apprised you about the NDCs and the how the carbon trade started, what decisions were taken in COP, Kyoto Protocol, CDM, voluntary market. That I will not apprise you regarding. Then most important thing I just wanted to apprise you regarding this carbon dioxide is that if the forests are productive, then the rate of carbon sequestration is higher. When the trees and forests get mature, the rate of carbon sequestration reduces. Hence, there is lot of importance to the silvicultural systems. Through thinning operations, cultural operations, we maintain the forest in growing stage. So, whenever the forests are being maintained in growing stage, in younger stage, rate of carbon sequestration is higher. So, these working plan operations should be religiously be carried out so that we maintain the carbon stock in younger stage and the rate of carbon sequestration can be assured. Then I would like to draw your attention to IPCC report 13th August 2019. They have specifically mentioned that until the world cuts emissions from agriculture and forest, climate change goals cannot be reached, and we cannot achieve the goals of Paris Agreement without managing emissions from land use change in forestry. And you would appreciate that 20% of the greenhouse gases, around 22% of the global greenhouse gases are being absorbed or sequestered by the existing forests. So, and so far as Maharashtra is concerned, Maharashtra, so far as carbon stocks are concerned, I think it stands fourth in the country. And you would appreciate that we have got a very good forest. So, I just wanted to take advantage of this opportunity. Actually, we had invited almost 74 participants and plus so many. But I could see there is very low attendance and lukewarm response. So I don't know this is the most important and most modern subject, and it's very costlier also. This knowledge, so actually yesterday we were interacting with J.V. Sharma Sahab. He told us that when you do internet surfing, you get information. But through deliberations in workshop, you get knowledge. So try to differentiate between information and knowledge. So we are here to disseminate knowledge. So I would appeal you to take advantage of this opportunity and try to make most of it. Once again, I welcome all the participants, delegates nominated for this workshop. I express my deep gratitude to Principal Secretary Sir, Sri Reddy Sir, for his guidance, as well as I extend my special thanks to our Hop Sahab. I am highly grateful to Director Chandrapur Academy, Sri Mahib Gupta Sahab, for making this campus available for hosting this workshop and actively participating in the deliberations. I would like to inform you that last night we had taken two major decisions, which are history and epoch-making decisions. I have apprised the Honorable Secretary also. The first decision is that the Sharma Sahab has kindly granted his assent and kindly agreed to carry out these two activities. First is to conduct carbon assessment in CFRMC area, that is Community Forest Reserve areas in Gadchiroli district, and all these after valuation, all the generated carbon credits, the benefits of these carbon credits shall be transferred to the local tribals. And already one such project is being undertaken by TERI in Uttarakhand, wherein they are assessing these carbon stocks in one panchayats. So on the same lines, without charging any fees from the government of Maharashtra, they are going to undertake this project. Approximately 2 lakhs plus amount per village, they shall get it from these carbon credits. And you might be aware that Maharashtra is leading in the country so far as the CFRMCS area is concerned. We have granted the CFR rights over an area of 12 lakh hectares, 12,000 square kilometers. And in Gadchiroli, 4,700 square kilometer area is under CFRMC. So far as carbon assessment in CFRMC area is concerned, this is going to be the first project, and TERI has kindly granted its consent to undertake this project without charging any fees. So that is their greatness. So give them a big hand, please. Second decision which we arrived at was to establish Center of Excellence. As Gupta sir has already told you, that we are going to establish Center of Excellence for Climate Change in Chandrapur Academy. And the director Chandrapur Academy would be entering into MOU with TERI to establish this center here in Chandrapur. So in Maharashtra, we are not having any center of climate change. So this is the second decision we had already taken. And the third center, that is for water resources again, they are going to start Center of Excellence in Chandrapur Academy. So these are the three major decisions we had already taken, and this is the fallout of this workshop. So I am highly grateful. I express my deep gratitude on behalf of Government of Maharashtra to Sharma Sahab and all the TERI officials for giving this opportunity and for assessing the carbon in the remote areas. And the lastly, as it was referred, that is regarding land records. You might be aware that I was APCCF conservation for 4 years, from 17 to 21. And I have compiled the various GRs, government resolutions and the circulars. They are not available in single file. And many circulars, they are not available even in Mantralaya. And in the absence of these circulars and decisions taken earlier, if you take certain decision, then it could be problematic also. And there are many wrong decisions taken also. In order to ameliorate all such conditions, we have hunted out all these circulars, GRs from hundreds of files. The circulars which are not available in my office, which were available in Alibag division or some smaller divisions, we hunted all these circulars from Mumbai archives also, and we have compiled these two documents. Now this private forest compendium is not applicable in Maharashtra mostly, but in Western Maharashtra, I have already circulated that just a couple of years back, 2018. And recently we have compiled the land record compendium, which I had already promised some couple of years back. It is very voluminous, comprising of I think more than 500 pages. So you can do weightlifting with that also. So I am going to distribute, I have brought here some 35 copies. And so take advantage of that also. Carry this copy. Don't just throw it off in your rooms. And it is very important document. And for the youngsters, you can keep it as your personal copy also. So, and a lot of information is there. How the history of encroachments, land records, land record management, so many, lot of information is there. So I think पियुषा त्याचं अनावरण नाही झालंय ना आपलं, ते करून घ्या आता. ठीक आहे. So friends, thank you very much. Once again, I express my deep gratitude for TERI as well as Chandrama. It's a very good name. And all the participants, I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving an overview of the sector and then sharing with us some important decisions that have been taken in this sector. And also, as sir has rightly pointed out, this is age of carbon forestry and we are all part of it. So I request you all to please be alert, attentive and make most of this workshop that we are going to attend in next 2 days. Sir, Principal Secretary Forest, Shri Venugopal Reddy sir has joined over VC. So I request the technical team if he could be made online. Good morning, sir. I welcome you to this workshop regarding assessment of carbon stocks in the forests of Maharashtra. Sir, I would request you to kindly deliver your address to our esteemed audience. Sound, please. Sir, I request you to unmute your mics.
Yeah, I have done that. Yeah.
You're audible, sir.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. Namaskar. Sarwan Namaskar. Shri Tembu Nikarji, Shri Mahib Gupta ji, the esteemed scientists who have come from TERI, all the senior forest officials who are attending this workshop. At the outset, I would like to tell you that I was very desirous to attend this workshop at Chandrapur. And in fact, I have been pursuing this with Shri Tembu Nikarji for organizing this workshop. But unfortunately, due to certain unavoidable meetings at Mantralaya, I have to stay back at Mumbai. And that's why I'm deprived of the opportunity to learn a lot of new things from this workshop. But nevertheless, I will take the inputs generated from this workshop and I will try to update myself. In fact, I was preparing a sort of, a note for myself from the literature available in the web on carbon credits. I did some homework some few months back. Of course, now again, as I could not pursue that further, some of the points have evaporated from my mind. So now what I would like to say on this occasion is that carbon credits is a subject which is being discussed at global level for almost 2 or 2.5 decades. But if you look at the progress made in this regard, as a layman, what I can say is that the progress is not as much as the expectations that were generated in the first decade of this century. During the years, the early 2000s, there was so much of talk about carbon credits and how that can be utilized for taking up various measures for tackling the climate change issues. Now, there are many issues which really need to be understood actually, especially for the forest officers. Many of us have only seen the sort of superficial levels of this subject, but have not gone in depth into what it is about and what all is required to be done by the forest officers. Now, as I understand it, there are various issues from policy makers' point of view or administrators' point of view. And I would like to list out few of them so that they can be flagged in the discussion process. And maybe you will educate me on those points after your deliberations and try to, through that, what my idea is to lay down a specific roadmap for us to take forward the carbon credit subject. Now, the first and foremost is that the issues which come to my mind, that's what I'm listing out. I'm not saying they are the only issues or they are the most important issues. Just, while trying to understand the subject from a policy point of view or from administration point of view. Well, the first and foremost issue is whether the plantation activities of government are entitled for obtaining carbon credits. That's the first and foremost issue that comes to my mind. And if so, in what manner and how we can take this aspect forward. Then the second one is the issue which has to do with a lot of technicalities, like how to generate carbon credits in various contexts. The context can be like, first thing is, as I told you earlier, the government lands and the forest lands and the plantation activities or other activities also. For instance, other measures that we take like prevention of forest fires, etc., where how to generate carbon credits in all these contexts, and that is one aspect of it. Second is the private lands where we can take up plantation activities, basically the degraded soils where silviculture can be a suitable option. How to rope in these people for generating them additional income so that the loss in opportunity cost for some years, can be compensated through carbon credits. That is the second issue. In that particular context of private lands, I mean even the individual forest rights lands. Individual forest rights lands, I specifically mentioned that because these are erstwhile forest lands where there used to be tree growth at one point in time. Now, as the climate change requires us to increase the green cover and go for massive afforestation or plantation activities. Now, these are very potential lands. But here, the basic problem that we encounter is that they are having sustainable agriculture over there. The agriculture for sustenance. It is basically for their day-to-day living, or at the sort of it's not commercial agriculture. It is only for sustenance. Now, in that particular context, if you talk about tree cultivation, then there is bound to be reluctance on the part of the IFR landholders. If that is the case, then how do we attract them or enthuse them for taking up plantation activities? Now, for some years there is loss of income for them. That's the notion. Of course, there are other ways to tackle that also. That we'll discuss separately. But what we have to deliberate in this particular workshop should be whether we can compensate for the loss of incomes or the opportunity costs for some years at least, if not in perpetuity, at least for some years. The third and most important is we need to have a perspective plan for the department in carbon credits. What I see here is that, in fact, Tembur Nikkarji had shared with me some literature wherein TERI had participated in some projects. And I've gone through that literature, and basically these are, commendable, efforts from TERI. But what I would like to point out here is that even today also, there are only pilot projects in terms of carbon credits. Now, to take it up to a mass level or to scale it up to the levels where it can be a sort of effective tool for enthusing people into taking up silviculture or agroforestry or tree cultivation activities, I think we need to have a much larger plan wherein we need to find such mechanisms. Now, whether it is a clean development mechanism or voluntary markets, we need to be very clear about what we are doing and where we are heading and what is the vision that we have, and whether that vision is fraught with any risks or uncertainties. These issues have to be listed out, and then we need to have a clear-cut perspective plan for the department and for the state. That's another issue. Then comes the issue of the context which I was listing out, like government lands and private lands. There is another segment which is CFR lands. In CFR lands, basically the issue that is emerging is whether the village communities can be given the benefit of having the returns from carbon credits. This is a policy issue where I think from after analyzing FRA and other more related or relevant issues, we need to arrive at a clear-cut conclusion on that, so that we can have a clear-cut policy on that. So in fact, we have received one proposal, not a proposal per se, but seeking clarification or guidance from government wherein the proposal is about prevention of forest fires in some of the endemic areas where forest fires are a menace because of Tendu or other reasons. The project speaks about prevention of forest fires by involving village communities and using that as a tool for gaining carbon credits and giving that benefit to the village communities. So this is this is in nutshell about the project, wherein they have sought the guidance or clarification or approval of the government. So I think we need to deliberate it seriously and arrive at a conclusion. Now, having mentioned all these points, what I would like to flag, another issue wherein we need to have clarity about the pricing of carbon credits. There has to be the transparent mechanism through which transparent and a mechanism which will be in consonance with the CVC guidelines or maybe the state government's guidelines for procurement or whatever policies or guidelines are relevant here. We need to make it in consonance with that. Here there has to be sort of conformity with the existing policies of the government in terms of procurement of services or selling some government asset, which is likely to get some revenue for the government. We need to have those procedures thoroughly analyzed, and based on that, the policy has to be evolved. So these are the issues which I wanted to flag for this workshop. And based on that, we need to develop a clear-cut perspective plan for the state. And while keeping this kind of a long-term ambition or long-term vision or perspective plan, we need to be aware of the short-term or mid-term issues also in terms of capacity building of the staff of the department, as well as the public and other stakeholders with whom we have to work. That is the first thing, the capacity building of the people. Then second is that we have to put in place sort of transparent and clear-cut mechanisms which will lead us towards attaining the goals that we set for ourselves in the perspective plan. So these are the two things. And to kickstart the process, this workshop has to translate into a sort of clear-cut action plan. That also need to be laid down, and maybe one can think of a few pilot projects for setting the process in motion. So these are the few points which I wanted to share. And in fact, I wish that I had the opportunity to be there and deliberate at length and arrive at some conclusions. But I'm sure that Shri Tembunikar ji, Shri Mahib Gupta ji, and the CCFs and other senior officers of the department, they must be pondering over all these issues, and they must be leading the discussion towards achieving some kind of conclusions on all these points. So with these few words, I thank Shri Tembunikar ji for giving us all of us this opportunity, and Shri Mahib Gupta ji also for taking the lead to organize the workshop at Chandrapur Academy, and for generating this kind of discussion. So with these few words and best wishes for the workshop, I take leave from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. आता कार्यक्रमाकडे पुढे वळूयात. जे कंपेडियमबाबत टेंभुर्णीकर सरांनी सांगितलेलं आहे त्या कंपेडियमचं विमोचन आपल्या आजच्या उपस्थित पाहुण्यांच्या हस्ते आपण आता करणार आहोत. आपल्या डिपार्टमेंटची जी सगळ्यात महत्त्वाची ॲसेट आहे ती आहे लँड. आणि या लँडशी रिलेटेड अनेक वेळा आपण जेव्हा एका खुर्चीत बसलेलो असतो, DCFच्या म्हणा, DFOच्या म्हणा किंवा ACFच्या म्हणा किंवा RFOच्या म्हणा, तेव्हा अनेक डिसिजन्स आपण आपल्या लेवलवर घेत असतो. बऱ्याचदा ते डिसिजन्स घेत असताना हे आपण का घेत आहोत हे आपल्याला माहिती नसतं आणि आपण कधी ते रेफरन्सेस शोधायला जात नाही, पुस्तकं उघडत नाही, कारण ते एका जागेवर कंपाईल्ड नसतात, टेबलावर समोर ठेवलेले नसतात. तर ह्या कंपेडियमच्या निमित्तानं हे सगळे लँडशी रिलेटेड किंवा लँड रेकॉर्डशी रिलेटेड जे काही GRs आहेत, ज्या काही गव्हर्नमेंट ऑर्डर्स आहेत किंवा जे काही सर्क्युलर्स आहेत ते एका ठिकाणी कंपाईल केलेले आहेत. आणि ज्या लोकांना हे कंपेडियम हवं आहे त्यांनी सर्वांनी आपली नाव नोंदणी जिथे आपण रजिस्ट्रेशन केलेलं आहे तिथे करायची आहे, कारण सध्या लिमिटेड कॉपीज अवेलेबल आहेत. त्यानंतर प्रत्येक ऑफिसला कॉपी मिळेल अशी व्यवस्था पुढे करण्यात येईल, पण सद्यस्थितीत कमी कॉपीज अवेलेबल असल्यामुळे जे खरंच वाचणार आहेत आणि पाहणार आहेत अशाच लोकांनी सध्या नाव नोंदणी करून आपलं कंपेडियम घेऊन जायचं आहे. धन्यवाद. यानंतर 2 छोट्या अनाऊन्समेंट करून मग त्यानंतर आपण आभार प्रदर्शनाच्या कार्यक्रमाकडे वळणार आहोत. पहिली अनाऊन्समेंट अशी आहे की आभार प्रदर्शन झाल्यानंतर आपल्या सगळ्यांना बाहेर ग्रुप फोटोसाठी जमायचं आहे. मध्ये आपण जिथून आलात तिथे ॲम्पी थिएटरची जागा आहे, तर त्या ॲम्पी थिएटरमध्ये आपण ग्रुप फोटो घेणार आहोत. दुसरी अनाऊन्समेंट अशी आहे की यानंतर आपला 15 मिनिटाचा टी ब्रेक होणार आहे 12:15 वाजेपर्यंत. 12:15 ते 1:15 हे आपलं पुढचं सेशन होणार आहे. तर सगळ्यांना विनंती आहे की काइंडली प्लीज असेंबल इन द सेम हॉल ॲट 12:15 PM. Now I invite Dr. Yogesh Gokhale, Senior Fellow Teri, to present vote of thanks.
सर्वांना सर्वप्रथम नमस्कार. मी मराठी आहे त्यामुळे मराठीतनं सुरुवात करतो. सर्वप्रथम आभार रेड्डी सरांचे. फ्रॉम हिज बिझी शेड्यूल ही ट्राईड टू he made a point to participate, raise very important and valid points. And I suppose during next session when Dr. Sharma would apprise us of details, he would then one by one tackle the issues that he has raised in that. Of course, no function in forest department can be completed unless and until head of the forest force supports the activity. So, of course, we are thankful to Mr. Rao. Then, of course, the first and the foremost name which we have been consulting day in and out for conceptualizing this program, टेंभुर्णेकर सर. सरांनी अतिशय मेटिक्युलसली ही प्रोसेस कशी असावी, काय पाहिजे, काय नको याच्याविषयी खूप जातीने लक्ष दिलं आणि प्रत्येक गोष्टीच्या बारकाव्यांमध्ये लक्ष देऊन हा सगळा प्रोग्राम मटेरियल कन्सीव्ह करायचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. आणि दिस इज नॉट अ वन टाईम प्रोसेस, दिस वूड इव्हॉल्व, दिस इज अन इव्हॉल्विंग प्रोसेस. सो बेस्ड ऑन द फीडबॅक दॅट वॉट वी गेट फ्रॉम यू ऑल, we would be improving ourselves as well as try to cater to your requirements as well. Then we also have senior foresters sitting on the dais with us, Mr. Lonkar, Mr. Naikavade, Madam Banerjee, and not the least, on a very serious note, because this is the venue of academic consultations, and Mr. Gupta has very rightly talked about the importance of this academy, Forest Academy, as and its vision also. And there is no need to explain why in such circumstances of climate change and number of environmental issues, those are grappling us, why such kinds of centers are required and they need to function so effectively in a state like Maharashtra. So on behalf of TERI, as well as also on behalf of my colleagues who have come here to discuss with you, deliberate with you, I thank you, Forest Department of Maharashtra, profusely for giving us this opportunity, and also to continue and walk the path of carbon neutrality for the state as well as the country. Thanks a lot. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.
सर, सर्वांच्या वतीने एक विनंती आहे. माझ्या मनात जो प्रश्न आहे तो अनुत्तरित राहू नये. उद्या आफ्टर टी ब्रेक आताचा सदर टेम्पो जो तयार झालेला आहे सर, त्याच्यामध्ये एक प्रश्न माझा राहिला सरांच्याकडे. जसं सर्व प्रश्न आले म्हणजे रेड्डी सरांच्या याच्यातून स्विचमधून, सध्याचं जे कार्बन क्रेडिटचं जे चालू आहे, वी आर इन चर्निंग फेज. त्याच्यामध्ये ज्यांच्याकडे लँड आहे की ज्यांच्याकडे स्टॉक आहे ते एक स्टेक होल्डर आहे, दुसरं ज्याच्याकडे पैसा आहे ते एक स्टेक होल्डर आहे, तिसरा जो लाभार्थी आहे का जो खऱ्या अर्थानं याच्यामध्ये इन्व्हॉल्व आहे, काम करणारे जे आहेत, मग पीपल पार्टिसिपेशन किंवा जे खर्चा वर्कफोर्स आहे त्यांना काही विन विन सिच्युएशन करून काही मॉडेल करता येईल का? देट इज लॉट ऑफ डिमांड इन पुणे अँड अराउंड पुणे. का जो खऱ्या अर्थानं जो काम करत आहे तर दॅट विल बिकम अ मोर पॉप्युलर मॉडेल, स्पेशली फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र पॉईंट ऑफ व्ह्यू वी कॅन लीड द कंट्री. असं एक मॉडेल just I am requesting the stakeholder, then financer, and then those the workforce is there. This is 3-tier model we should develop. Thank you, sir.
धन्यवाद सर. अध्यक्ष महोदयांच्या परवानगीने इनॉग्रलचा हा जो उद्घाटनाचा जो कार्यक्रम होता तो संपला असं मी जाहीर करते. आणि यानंतर ग्रुप फोटोसाठी सगळ्यांनी ॲम्फी थिएटरमध्ये जमायचं आहे. धन्यवाद. थँक्यू सो मच.